I am asking now.
He finna fuck it up.
The way you used to dress like that.
Cause he not sick no more. Look at him.
Mm-hmm.
He feel better cause he did what the fucking super cancer wanted him to do. Look how he acting. Look at this shit. Damn. He let that fucking cancer take over. That shit is fucking crazy. They finna kill her? Is he finna kill her?
Yep.
Yo! That's absolutely crazy. I knew when he pulled them motherfucking up. He don't care about them either. He don't care about the Nico and Annie either. They really killed me for you, bro. Like, dang. That shit crazy. Right in front of her TV. Now, what they gonna do with the little girl? You gonna leave the little girl again? Oh, so the boy they found him. But now, so, text nigga. So, so, yeah, I can do that, definitely. I can live anywhere to eat. Yeah, but they hate me without doing it. I don't care. I like eating so I get it.
So, I can't believe this happened, but for whatever reason, a Democrat mega donor decided to debate Cenk Uygur. And you guys know how Cenk gets really heated and starts like getting angry and yelling and all that kind of stuff. This just goes to show you just how desperate, again, the Democratic Party is to try to help Joe Biden. Now, the topic of this discussion is, should Joe Biden drop out? Let's get into this debate. It was on Counterpoints. I caught this earlier this morning. This is really interesting. Check this out.
In 2016, everybody told Joe Biden to step down. Everybody was sure in the tools. Same people making the same points in 2020, same people are making the same points now. But the democratic process and the deliberative process that chose Joe Biden is the process that we have. It is how American democracy works. The parties choose candidates, and then the nation chooses between them.
It's not just Joe Biden that's in mental decline if we make him our candidate. The whole party's in mental decline. If we select Joe Biden as our strongest candidate, I'm not willing to insult the Democratic Party like that.
All right, welcome to Counterpoints Friday. Ryan, we've got some great guests today on the biggest topic, I would argue, of the world right now, which is the future.
So let's start with you, Dimitri. You and I spoke a couple days ago, last weekend, about the state of the race. It looked at that point like Biden was done, like at least from the conventional wisdom in Washington. But you were not persuaded by that, and you said, look, you guys are overestimating your ability to change the reality here. The reality here is that Joe Biden feels like he's still the best candidate. He's going to stay in. Where are you today, and has anything changed about your perspective since then when it comes to Biden's ability to win the general election?
Yeah, and thank you, Ryan. Thank you for having me. A lot of times the question comes down to whether President Biden can do the job for 4 more years, and that's what it comes down to. But the question that I'm focused on is, what is the most likely way to prevent President Trump from having a second term? And to prevent President Trump from having a second term, from being elected, you need someone to be able to win the nomination of the Democratic Party and also beat Donald Trump in a general election. And for the last 5 years, there's only been one Democrat who's been anywhere close, and only one Republican who's been anywhere close to getting their nominations back. And so we've known for about 5 years that this was the most likely rematch. And we knew that both men would have some increasing challenges compared to last time. Biden and Trump, neither of them is the same man they were 4 years ago. And so the question is, did that debate fundamentally alter Biden's electability more than the things that we've learned about Trump and keep learning about Trump, like his criminality and so forth? So that is a real question. It's a fair question. But immediately after the debate,
How to go from boy.
So there's a creator on this app talking about older women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s trying to compete with other women.
You might be an irritant for you.
It may take me for a couple of days, but you needed somebody there. Got you.
Because American food is just so unhealthy in general.
Because all the zombie movies kind of hint on the fact that like when zombies arrive, it's inherently just like dystopian. They've started. There's no way that we can contain them. It's just an all-out problem, right? But Day of the Dead, when they're like legitimately studying the zombies and they find a way to kind of contain it, it's obviously not contained. They're living in this underground bunker and they're slowly losing men like every single day. But it's like contained enough that the scientists can actually sort of study the zombies. He immediately bonds with the zombie and like essentially gives him full autonomy. He's like, this is a person at the end of the day, and I'm gonna treat him like a person. And in that case, it kind of worked out for him because you got revenge beyond the grave. Good job. But like, I genuinely believe that if zombies touched down in Texas, that is what so many people would do. Every day, you would get on this fuck ass app and you'd see some woman, some white woman, being like, zombies are people, and we need to start treating them like people. We can't kill them. They're still living. They're bloodthirsty and they want to kill us. I get that, but they're still living people. That being said, we have to let them vote. That's their God-given right. What we to take that away from them, not God. And on the other side of Texas, somebody would also get on here and be like, hey, do you think that there's some scientists that could engineer or breed zombies to make them faster so that when I hunt them, they pose a higher challenge? And someone who is exactly like that guy, but just like a lot richer, is going to come on here and be like, a day in my life, I have 40 acres out back where I get zombies shipped to these uncharted woods, and I go out there with my friends and we hunt them for fun. Some guy who's exactly like that but does not hunt and is also not rich will come on here and ask the golden question: can we use zombies as an unpaid labor force? Follow-up question: can we put them in an Amazon warehouse? Why? Yeah, I've really been thinking about this because all the zombie movies kind of hinge on the fact that like once zombies arrive, it's just like dystopian. The apocalypse started. There's no way that we can contain them. It's just an all-out problem, right? But in Day of the Dead, when they're like legitimately studying the zombies and they find a way to kind of contain it, it's obviously not contained. They're living in an underground bunker and they're slowly losing men like every single day. But it's like contained enough that the scientists can actually sort of study the zombies. He immediately bonds with the zombie and like essentially gives him full autonomy. He's like, this is
The drive now. If I get him a good job, I feel like I can help him with his social skills and stuff. So
guys, this Sanji cookbook has been out.
Swing voters seem to have not moved very much. The polls in each of the three closest battleground states have moved 3 points, maybe more likely 2 if you look at the weighted averages for poll weight. And right now, Biden is still tied in electoral votes, ahead in electoral votes representing 251 electoral votes. And he's basically tied within the margin of error in states representing another 60 electoral votes.
Let's pause here for a second, and I have to say this before we continue on. First and foremost, you have to remember this is a mega donor. So he is going to protect his investment because he wants a return on his investment. So he's going to defend Joe Biden being the nominee for as long as it takes, because again, he's not just some guy who donated $200. This is a mega donor. That is how he identifies himself, and that is how Breaking Points identified him as well. So that's who's talking here. So just keep that in mind. I am.
So the question is, who's better to win, and whose decision is it? And if it's Joe Biden's decision, which it is, making won the nomination, then the burden of proof is not just to prove to me. You have to prove it to the standards of Joe Biden, who's heard these arguments in 16 and agreed with them, and in 20 and disagreed with them. And he was always right in those two elections, and everybody else was wrong in those two elections. So I think we should have some humility here.
And Cenk, how would you prove it to Dimitri?
Yeah, easy on many fronts. So number one, he's at 36% approval rating. No incumbent ever in American history, not just president, but at the federal level, has ever won when they're in the 30s in an election year. Number two, he was at +9 at this point in the election in 2020. Now he's in a best case scenario -3. That's 12 points to make up. His approval rating last time when he won, and barely won the Electoral College, was at 52 points. So he's 16 points behind an approval rating. These are all totally unrecoverable. It would be the most unprecedented political comeback in American history by a lot. And a guy in mental decline is going to pull that off. He's shown absolutely no ability to pull that off. In fact, I said that he would lose non-swing states months ago. And here we are. He's now losing 3 non-swing states. Now, New Jersey and New York are in play. So, guys, what is not in dispute is that Donald Trump's a terrible, terrible guy. And we're both trying to make sure that he doesn't win re-election. We just have a very significant difference of opinion on what is the best way to make sure Donald Trump doesn't win. And with Joe Biden, it's a lock. He's not going to pull off the greatest political miracle in American history. Okay, so those are all the numbers, and I can give you underlying numbers. But he's lost Latinos, he's lost the youth vote, he's lost almost everything, right? So the idea that it's close is ridiculous. He has a near 0% chance of winning. So that's why I've been on a warpath for 9 months, because I'm like, how could you guys not see it? But all of that is a lead up to me asking Dimitri, is Joe Biden in mental decline?
Let me pause there for just a second, because do you notice what happened there? Cenk was able to bring up data points as to why he thinks, like, Joe Biden needs to drop out. He should not be the nominee. Whereas the mega donor is just, again, he's going with his feelings because he's trying to protect his investment. So I think there's a big difference between the two. And I've had my criticisms of Cenk Uygur because I feel like he's not as far enough to the left as I would like for him to be. And I don't think he should be supporting the Democratic Party anymore, period. But to each their own. That being said, I think that what we do have to consider, even though the polls are showing that it's close between Biden and Trump, I think if you really want to know who's going to win in November, you have to talk to people on the ground. And this is where corporate media messed up in 2016. They were looking at the polls. They weren't talking to people in the ground. They weren't talking to people in rural America. They weren't talking to people that are working poor and people that are working class. On the ground, just everyday average people. They were talking to people that they put together as a part of these focus groups. And these are people that they put in front of you. And a lot of times people don't know that these people have been hand selected. They always selected to favor the narrative that they want. So oftentimes people that are part of these focus groups may have worked with the Democratic Party in some way, shape, or form, may have canvassed for Joe Biden. These are the types of things they don't tell you, right? But if you really want to know who's going to win, you're going to have to put your ear to the ground. You have to talk to the people. You're going to have to go to neighborhoods that you may not feel comfortable going into, boo. You're going to have to go talk to those people. This is what Hillary Clinton was not willing to do. That's why Hillary Clinton lost. And you would think the Democratic Party would have learned a lesson from that, but they have not. So you want?
Yeah, shit, bro.
And the reason that I know that is because emotionally, when I saw that debate, I thought he was going to put one. So emotionally, when I saw the first 2 minutes of that debate, I was where the House Democratic Caucus was as well. I engaged in a remote medical diagnosis, even though I'm totally unqualified, because I've seen people aging, and I was worried that it was mental. So I followed up and found out that from every, including world-class brain experts that we've hired to assess both Biden and Trump for years, that this is consistent with motor decline. And the best evidence of whether there's mental decline is the job that he's currently doing. And the job that he's currently doing, we still, today, Joe Biden gets pulled in to be the closer in bipartisan negotiations. And we know from Kevin McCarthy's admission against interest when he does that close the deal role stuff. We know that today, this month, he is pulled into international negotiations to close the deal. Our allies want him as the closer person. That's why he's working 14-hour days in war zones. I remember when I was an associate in McKinsey & Company 20 years ago.
Ah, there it is, McKinsey. There you go, folks. That's who you're dealing with here. That's who you're talking to. Okay? McKinsey consulting firm. This is not one of those firms that anyone can get a job at. It's very competitive, very difficult to get a job at McKinsey, and they usually recruit at certain elite academic institutions. So that's who you're dealing with here, folks.
And I work the kind of hours he's working. I would have things like that too. And so the question is it age or ability? And the best evidence about whether it's ability is what kind of a job he's doing as president right now. And as president it goes, he's pretty good. The other thing about him is
No, Dimitri, listen, first of all, I think this is the most obviously the world leads in the mind. The great majority of Americans agree with me. And he himself admits he can't go back 8 o'clock at night. That's not a great job of president. Sorry. He can't go to the private meetings with the G7 leaders because he's too tired. It's all simple. I don't even know what he's saying. He says he's the first black woman to serve as a black president. And that's after he has the questions handed written out. These are the questions. William Rose answer them. They have to prove that you're not a mental decline. And he says, I'm the first black woman. Okay, so anyways, but Dimitri...
Oh, you met Joe Biden over the decades, right? I mean,
I have, yeah. And
like,
so, and he's a disaster, right? He's an absolute disaster right now. But Dimitri, it doesn't really matter whether I agree or what I think or what you think. What we're obsessed with is what do the American voters think. And that jury is in. You know, most of the polls have it around 72. One outlier has it at 80%. But even if you take the lower number, 72% of Americans think that he is not mentally healthy enough to serve. So we're going to run a guy that, at a minimum, 7 out of 10 Americans think his brain is not functioning. And he needs to be the hardest job for another 4 years. The minute we start changing 4 more years, we lose the election. Dimitri, like, how do you put up a